I will attain the state of the Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. Okay, I've got to take some medicine, but why don't we go ahead and get started on the rejoicing? Let's see. Natalia, what do you have to rejoice about today? Well,
sorry, I'm gonna so I'm speaking from my phone because I'm recording Russian on this other computer. Hopefully you can hear me.
yes.
Okay, perfect. So what is the best thing that happened? So many changes. I'm doing my 6 times book. I started doing it, so I have been doing it for like 3 days only, but I'm very proud of myself, and I think this is the best thing. And I'm learning so much about how this can help in reaching being on the path, maybe reaching nirvana, or just staying on the path and being conscious about it. So I'm very happy.
Good. Keep working hard at it. What happened here? I'm supposed to admit somebody. Oh, you're admitting them, I'm not. Okay, Jackie, you're up.
Hello, dear Lama Sumati and dearest friends. I rejoice with gratitude for how fortunate we are to have phones, to use them for the very precious purpose of connecting with people around the world, having WhatsApp and Telegram for those reasons, and just having a phone that we can connect in with people to make sure that people are safe, that people are cared for. We can stay connected with our families. We don't have to necessarily travel to see them all the time. We're just so fortunate to have this ability that we can just hear each other's voices and really feel deeply grateful that we have them in our lives and that they are cared for with our time that we can share with them. And I dedicate that we all continue to have this beautiful communication and that we use it with such preciousness as like a gift, that we can use this in this way and connect with people in this beautiful way. Thank you.
Those are where there's things called cities or powers. And one of the cities is be able to communicate over long distances. Back in the day, that would have meant a powerful voice. Now we can communicate with them. Well, we're teaching the Tara teaching across all the time zones of the planet. So that city's ripened. Trying to think, there's another one that, well, there are quite a few, but that's, go somewhere fast. We have airplanes that can take us quickly to so many places in the planet compared to taking a boat or riding a horse. So those are all things like the phone that we take for granted, but think how different our life would be if we didn't have those very cities. Okay, who's next? Svetlana.
Hello, Venerable Sumati, and hello, everyone. Today, I would like to rejoice.
Do I have to get on the translation?
Yeah, English channel. I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, try it again.
Oh, hello, Venerable Sumati.
There you are.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah, today I would like to rejoice in kindness and support that my colleague just paid me today. Today I had an occasion that I spilled my trousers, and I was so anxious that I can't be in these clothes anymore. And my colleague, she came to me and she kindly supported me. And then we went to the shop and bought new, very beautiful trousers. And she was with me along the way. And she was telling that it's not some bad situation. You shouldn't be worried. Real bad situations when people are doing something, it's not this case. So, and she she was making me calm. And I would like to rejoice in this kind and support, and dedicate that everyone can have support and some close people who can be close to them and give them help when they need it.
Well, that's certainly is the way to perpetuate it. Very good. Very good. Okay. Katya.
Hi, hello. Well, I rejoice that today in the morning I was running, and in the way I found money that was in the ground and next to a car. So I took it, and I continue my running. But then I start thinking that that's not mine, so I have to turn it back. And so I turn back and I leave the money in the door of the car, and I continue my running. So I'm happy that I can stop and think that that's not a good idea to take it and go, and I prefer to take it back.
Madres. Your microphone is.
Your first thought could have been, well, that money was there, whether the car was there or not. And then your second thought was, maybe they dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
So you came back to give it to them. And if they didn't drop it, you just very generously gave them some money. How much was it?
No, it was too much. It was like $10.
Well, I'll take $10. But good that you turned back and turned around and went out of your way to return it. That's very good. That's very good. What happened with I found $20 recently, and there was nobody nearby to give it to. I was going out to dinner. My wife was gone. I was going out to dinner, and I used it to pay for someone else's meal. So I didn't try very hard. There were some people that were about 30 or 40 feet away, but I could have asked them, but I decided I'd use it to buy someone a meal. I thought it was a pretty good use of the money. So, okay, I have no idea how to pronounce the young lady in the green outfit. Olga. Olga, do you have something you can rejoice in? If so, please unmute.
Да,
Well.
добрый вечер. Всем добрый вечер.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Алло, меня слышно? Ага, хорошо. Я недавно только что подключилась.
Recently I connected. Sorry that I was late.
У меня радость все время.
I'm rejoicing constantly all the time that I'm studying this wisdom, that I know this about this wisdom, and I'm practicing it, and I'm receiving it from such great masters, such teachers, that I am with great joy following them and listening to them, and don't want to miss any class. And I like everything. Practice helps to be on the right track, to find such right path, thanks to our teachers, and hold to this path. I learned a little bit to understand how emptiness works, how pain works, how two husbands in the kitchen sutra works. And I like very much that thanks to all these instruments that we have, we can put on our takeoff track our strongest planes, aircrafts, which will not let bad ones to take off. And I'm rejoicing that I can do it. Not everything is manageable, but I'm very happy that I am in this wisdom group with such a magnificent teacher, with such sangha, and with such support.
Well, she must be talking about somebody else. I'm not magnificent. Okay, Sheila.
Hi. I'm rejoiced that in this week and last week, I was and I am very focused in my motivation before speak. And I catch me several times to that the motivation is to criticize or judge the people. And then I stop and I stay quiet. And I'm very happy because of that. And other times I don't catch me in the good time, and I aware and I aware that I talk bad about somebody, and I regret, and I'm stay focused again. And this is my rejoice, and I aware that behind of the criticize several times is because the envy is present, the jealous. And this is my rejoice, that I have these afflictions very present in my life.
Well, good. It's something to practice with. So,
Yes.
Katya, did you catch your sister starting to say something to you and stopping?
Sometimes I stop her.
Well,
Or
very good.
sometimes I join her.
Well, very good. That's the whole point. Practice, put into practice, and you're not going to be perfect at it. You will one day, but I catch myself most of the time, but with former President Trump, that's the one I have real trouble with. But okay, Evgeny, do you have anything to rejoice in? Well, I guess not. Okay, we're going to get on to class. We're going to go over, Geshe had some questions, homeworks that he gave the students. We're not doing them, but I'm going to go through some of the answer keys with some of the information, since he didn't cover a lot of this. Sometimes the lecture doesn't cover at all what's in the homeworks, and the homework is, I think, very important. So we'll be doing the homework, some of the homework questions from class 5, and then go on to class 6. So the person who first brought the teachings of the LamRim to Tibet was Lord Atisha. And he was born in 982 AD. So we're going to describe the circumstances of his birth and go from there. Bobon Rinpoche begins his description of Lord Atisha's life by mentioning that he was born into circumstances of great material wealth. Quote, in a palace with no less than 13 cupolas covered in pure gold and adorned with 25,000 banners woven in gold thread. That would be impressive. The point on one hand is to say that as in the case of Lord Buddha, Lord Atisha, as he grows up, demonstrates the strength of character to turn his back on material comforts and to seek the spiritual path in order to benefit all people of the world. But there's a deeper lesson here. It is to be expected that a person who is accumulated sufficient karmic seeds to meet with the high path the path that will enable him or her to save the world itself, would come into this world that in circumstances of great material wealth. This applies to every one of us here in the modern world who've met the path. You don't think you have much in the way of material wealth, but stop and think. We live in a world of automobiles and airplanes, the internet, countries covered with highways. Everybody has at least one car. We've got cell phones, vast fields of grain that were unimaginable even to the princes who became Lord Atisha and Lord Buddha. We've been born into the greatest material wealth known in the history of mankind. And it is a sign that we have extraordinary karmic seeds within us, seeds that have produced for us the teachings of the LamRim and someone to teach us. So let's move on to class 6. That was the end of class 5. Describe Lord Atisha's reaction as a young boy when he was presented by his parents with the subject he was to rule. As an infant, Lord Atisha is brought by his parents, the king and queen, to a nearby temple. His subjects of the realm gather on each side, and the Lord asks his parents, "Who are these people?" They tell him, "These are the people that you rule. The subjects that wait upon your every command." And Lord Atisha's reaction, even at this young age, was to sing a verse of goodness. Here are his actual words. I am not going to sing it. May each and every one of them be born as I have been born. The highest child of the Lord of men, blessed with excellent parents, shining in the glory of good, commanding an entire kingdom. And then may they each be sustained by the highest form of Dharma. So it never occurs to him to take advantage of these people, to use them in any way. He only wishes upon them all the goodness that he himself enjoys, both temporal and spiritual. Bhagwan Rinpoche says that if Lord Atisha had done nothing else in this life, this demonstration of love as an infant would alone have marked him as a truly holy being. I would say love and compassion. What's the difference between love and compassion? Anybody?
Love is when you want someone to be happy.
Yeah.
And compassion that you want someone don't suffer.
Be free of suffering.
Okay. What's the example I use for each one of those?
The headache of your wife or
Yes.
that if she has the pain, you don't give her ice cream.
You give.
Because it's gonna be more pain.
You give her a medicine.
Right.
And when he's right, he felt fine in the health. You give her ice cream to make
Very good.
to make her happy.
Very good. And makes me happy because I get ice cream. I haven't had ice cream in a while. I think it's time for me to go get some ice cream. It's Tuesday. We don't have dessert except on Friday and Saturday. Well, maybe I can talk my wife into taking a walk. Except it's really hot. How hot is it? Is it hot in Guadalajara?
Yes.
38 degrees
Celsius.
Celsius.
That's toasty.
Yes.
It's 102 here today. So that's not all that hot. Anything above 110 is really hot. Other than that, it's just hot. We have trouble in Tucson, or I guess Tucson, if it gets hot enough, the air isn't dense enough for planes to take off. So they have to not fly into Tucson because they'll be stuck here on the ground. So that causes some problems with with travel. So what I do, I try and fly in the morning or in the late evening, especially in this time of year with the thunderstorms, because I don't like to be in an airplane that's going up and doing this because of the thunderstorm. So anyway, okay. The tender age of 6, Lord Atisha already understood how to make the distinction between the outer and inner self. Babonka Rinpoche and others state that this was an extraordinary level of understanding. He himself remarked later that only 3 people in the world who really understood this point, myself, Naropa, and Shantipa. Naropa is gone. I've come to Tibet, and Shantipa has passed away. So things in India are bad. What does this distinction involve? How can we utilize it on our spiritual journey? He goes on to discuss a misunderstanding about what inner and outer refer to in the system of the Wheel of Time or the Kala Chakra. In understanding the Kala Chakra, or the system of time, 2 ideas are very important. One is that we have a clear idea about how the appearance of things around us are outside of us and therefore seem not to come from us, must be reconciled with what we understand is really happening. The seeds in our mind are opening and creating images that we impose upon the raw data around us. This is, are we simply leading a lonely life within our heads? Is everyone just a figment of my imagination? How then can I interact with people in a meaningful way? The masters of the middle way, which is who we are, the Mahayana, explain this for us by saying, yes, things that appear to be outside of us are coming from us, but our mind projecting them as outside things. But our mind is projecting them as outside things, which means they are outside things. We can have meaningful interactions with them. The secret teachings of the Kala Chakra take this theme one step further into what we call the onion skin model of how we relate to the outside world. In this model, we see ourselves and the world and the people around it like layers of an onion. One layer is obviously our gross physical body, which is sustained by food and oxygen in our breath. The next layer down, the breath itself is connected to, which is prana or energy, which passes through thousands of tiny light channels of the inner body. Upon this prana rests another layer, our thoughts, riding upon the prana, but also providing the basis for the prana when these thoughts cause us to perform actions of body, speech, and mind. At the core of it all is the final inner layer, emptiness, comparable to the little round empty spot that we see in the middle of an onion. This is the fact that at the bottom, everything in the world is like a white movie screen before the movie is projected onto it. We can call it availability, really. Well, that's an interesting, I like that, availability. The fact that nothing is anything until a karmic seed ripens in our own mind and forces us to see it in a certain way. We see that the inner layers of ourselves then is starting with emptiness, which determines and is determined by our thoughts, which ride on the prana, which is channeled to our inner body, and that sustains our gross outer body. Okay. At the age of 11, already under pressure from his parents to begin seeking a wife in order to birth and and child to continue the royal lineage. Lord Atisha has a vision of a young maiden whose body glows in sky blue light. Some say this was an emanation of Tara, others says it was an emanation of the angel of diamond. Whoever it was, she says to him, O man divine, you possess high fortune. Have no desire, no desire. If you are my warrior, wherever mired here, if you, my warrior, were ever mired here in the swamp of desire, it would be like an elephant sinking into a marsh. Wouldn't you lose those lovely robes of morality that you wear? So how does Pabonka Rinpoche interpret this first verse? And how does it relate it to our lives? Pabonka Rinpoche says that the angel's repetition of the words, no desire, has great meaning. He says that the first one means that we should have no desire for the pain of this life. And the second one means we should have no desire for the pain of any kind of psychic existence. But what Rinpoche really focuses on is the metaphor of an elephant who's mired in a jungle of desire. He says that when a normal person makes errors in their daily behavior, there's no great danger to the teachings and the world at large. But suppose a person has a great spiritual potential. Suppose there is a person who possesses all the material needs and spiritual instruction they need to make great progress along the path. Be aware that Pabonka Rinpoche is not just talking here about Lord Atisha. He is talking about us, you and me. We see ourselves in this unique position of understanding the crucial points of the spiritual path, possessing all the circumstances we need to use this understanding to help people from all over the world. This is why the angel has mentioned an elephant, the highest, mightiest creature of the ancient world, the most fearsome war machine of olden times. We here now are spiritual juggernauts. We have the power to change our world. The elephant, though, is heavy. And if they become mired in a swamp, they're more likely than others to perish there. This is what it would be like if we ever become trapped in worldly life, rather than devoting our life to the Dharma. What subterfuge does Lord Atisha resort to in order to obtain some of his first karmic teachings? In his early teens, Lord Atisha told his parents that he would go on an expedition with 130 armed soldiers to survey the frontiers of the kingdom, the foothills of the Himalayas. Actually, though, the boy was hoping to find a spiritual teacher living in one of the caves up there. So he told a lie. Not a very good start for someone who's, well, we'll find out about it. So he does find the sage, Jatari, who grants him the instructions and practice and refuge in the wish for enlightenment. Master Jatari then advises Lord Atisha to visit the monastery of Nalendra, where he will find a Lama with whom he has shared a karmic connection for countless years. As with most of the events of Lord Atisha's life, there is a moral for us in this incident. It is a lesson of skillful means. Lord Atisha's parents are extremely high karmic objects. He loves them and doesn't wish to upset them. the teaching though are even higher karmic object, and he must have them in order to help his parents and others in an ultimate way. And so he finds a way to do both. Many of us are in a similar situation when it comes to our partners, families, and friends. We may not possess the seeds to see them as having the same deep interest in the Dharma that we do. If we do, all the better. But if we don't, then we have to be careful. On the one hand, we should keep the family and other commitments that we have made earlier, and thus avoid bothering them, those who may not be interested in this topic, by insisting they follow our interest. On the other hand, we owe it to everybody to reach our enlightenment as soon as possible. So we will have to find skillful means of accommodation that both flows in our life until such time as we're joined into one. One way of planting the seeds for them to join into one would be to try to get more open to suggestions from others in day-to-day situations. So if you want them, that's pretty straightforward. If you want somebody in your let's say you're married and your husband or your wife isn't interested in the Dharma, then what you have to do, excuse me, what you have to do is enthusiastically support them in something they want to do. So let's say your husband is a soccer fan. You don't particularly like soccer, but you want to do a week retreat. So before asking him to do the week retreat, you go to a couple of soccer matches with him enthusiastically. Then you ask him, and he'll remember that you went to these soccer matches, even though you don't like him. And the fact that you have an ulterior motive it works okay. But you see, you have to do something. It doesn't have to be a sporting event. It could be anything that they want to do that they find particularly rewarding. And if you do that with enthusiasm and dedicate it to you reaching the teachings in the future, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how that all works out. What secret practice did Lord Atisha follow for 7 years early in his life? The yogi named Rahula sends a group of wild yogis, men and women, to accompany Lord Atisha to the palace. As expected, the king and queen decided it would be better for their son to engage in his spiritual practices privately with his new masters. They granted him permission to begin his training under Master Avaduti, a major figure in both an open and secret teachings at that time. Lord Atisha spent 7 years during his 20s with his master, serving during this time as his foot wiper, the scriptural term for a disciple who labors as a Lama's close attendant. The fact that Lord Atisha did so, the fact that he actively sought out the position with his name, is another sign that, as the scriptures put it, he cared for name and fame no more than an accidental piece of spit that might slip from his mouth. It's an interesting analogy. During this period, the Lord learned that what is frequently referred to simply as the practice of Avaduti This would have consisted of techniques such as completion stage meditations and asanas designed to bring prana into the central channel. So emptiness could dissolve, could be perceived directly and transform one's body into that of an angel. It is significant that Lord Tisa's teachers were named Avaduti, presumably because his mastery of the practice of the same name and other such techniques for bringing prana into the central channel. What were the two practices that Lord Atisha strongly directed to follow in order to make his practice of the secret teachings work? Lord Atisha took ordination quite late in his life, at the age of 29, which in Tibetan reckoning would include the 9 months in the womb. This would be in a period of Asian history where the average lifetime was approximately 40 years old. As Monk Rinpoche notes, Lord Atisha, after his 7 years in learning the practice of central channel, intended to delve deeply into the tantric practices of Mahamudra. His Lama, though perceives these intentions, and one day walks straight through the brick wall of Lord Atisha's residence in order to deliver him a blunt message. What right do you have to ignore the beings of the world? Now, we said he walked straight through the brick wall. I don't know how many of you are familiar with atomic theory and atoms and things like that, but most of what we consider to be solid, most of that is actually empty space. And so when you stop and think about someone walking through a solid wall, in theory, it's possible because of how much empty space there is. So it sounds exotic and maybe impossible, but in theory, it is possible. So his master says, what right do you have to ignore the beings of the world? You need to get ordained, and then you can really be of help to the teachings and to a great many people. Lord Atisha receives the same orders from Lord Buddha and many other beings in visions. And so Lord Atisha does become a monk, spends many years of training in what would be described as the lowest school of Buddhism, related to the monk's way of life. As with all the biography here, there's again a lesson for us. The engine that is going to drive Lord Atisha's transformations into a secret angel is nothing less than the most fundamental teachings on morality, the art of not hurting others. In the following years of the Lord's life, the scheme is enhanced, as it should be, from the practice of not hurting others to taking responsibility for the enlightenment of all. Just scanning through. That's pretty much it for class 6. So that's a lot of material, but that shows you how Lord Atisha was faced with many of the problems that we're faced with. I think the interesting analogy is we tend to think of material wealth as the people such as former President Trump and movie stars that have all this money that I can't conceive of. When someone says a football star is getting $50 million a year to play football, I can't conceive of that. That's just overwhelming. That's just, well, to me, absurd. And what after about the first million? So here's my theory on the lottery. I think the lottery you shouldn't be able to win more than $1 million in the lottery. So if the kitty is $50 million, then 50 people get $1 million. To have one person win $1.5 billion is absurd. So if I was king, when I become king, I will make sure that that's how the lottery is run. The first person to win the Arizona lottery bought 1,000 tickets and was himself already a millionaire. I thought that was sad, but anyway, okay, so.
May you share your rejoiceable with us, dear teacher.
Oh, I didn't do that? Oh, well, my rejoiceable. Well, the White Tara teachings are proceeding. We have some students that are new to the Dharma and are faced with difficult decisions and are irritated by some of the instructions that have been given. And then I have the mature students that accept my wishes and don't argue with me. It's not that you can't argue with me. It's just if you're going to argue with me with wisdom. Don't argue with me with, this person's not treating me right. That's whiny silliness. Why are they not treating you right? Because you didn't treat someone right in the past. Whose fault is them not treating you right? It's not their fault. It's your fault. So don't come to me and ask me to take care of the whiny person. Now, I have to be careful because if I haven't given exactly correct instructions, I'm dealing with students that are new and students that are quite a bit older in the Dharma. So if I write a set of instructions for someone who's old in the Dharma or experienced in the Dharma, they get it. But the younger ones misinterpret it. And whose fault is that? Mine. So I have to be careful, and this is true about everything you do as a teacher. You have to be, or as a Lama, you have to be careful to remember the level of the Dharma that the student, that student has at that point. So I'm proud to say several of my students who will remain anonymous, but who happen to be present in class, are doing very well interacting with all this politics. I'm really proud of you. The students that aren't doing so well, I'm dealing with them carefully because I have to deal with them the way I would like to be dealt with in the future. So, but it's coming together. Now, my rejoiceable. I finally received the pictures that I'd found that were really stunning color photographs for the article I'm writing. And they are just simply that, stunning. I'm speechless. So I have them now and I can write the captions for them. And I'm taking that as a positive sign because there's several items I'm really trying to get declassified or released to me. And they keep putting it off. Someone else has to say it's okay. Someone else has to say it's okay. And I'm trying very hard not to write and pester people about it. So I'm rejoicing in that. I'm trying hard not to, and I succeed for the most part. But sometimes I have to write the message. I've written it several times and erased it, so that's better karma. But what else to rejoice in? Oh, I rejoice that I'm trying to get to bed much earlier. I went to bed at midnight last night and I woke up at 4, wide awake. I've been sleeping with 4 hours of sleep for so long, and my body has no idea what to do after 4 hours of sleep. So I'm going to try and break that habit when I'm in retreat in August, which reminds me, I don't know if I had told you, but I'll be in retreat from July 28th through August 29th. And I won't be teaching then. Oh, the other thing I need to mention is I'm going to cancel class on Friday because my student from Britain is going to be here. And I think it's really important to make sure that she gets my full attention, having come all this way. So, yes, she could attend the teaching, but I have to prepare for the teaching, and that means being away from her. So, thank you for your understanding. Okay, well, let's dedicate. But we'll get back onto the LamRim on next Tuesday. May the source of benefit and goodness, the Dharma, spread and expand. May the beings upholding the Dharma have excellent health. May the source of happiness and well-being for all embodied beings, the Buddha, the Dharma taught by the Buddhas, always increase. And may my translators still like me after class. Okay. See you in a week. Have a lovely week and weekend and stay cool.
And warm.
Yeah, staying warm is not going to be any trouble. Okay.
We're getting to minuses.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Deidre.